development today. According to your surveys, it looks like you were interested in learning some of the tools that Discovery Education has to offer. We can start out by, I'm going to ask, what do we know about Discovery Education already? Anybody know something, or something, how you use it already?
Great videos.
Yes, videos. That was the main thing I saw with a lot of the surveys. So I'm going to show you a couple of other things that Discovery Education has to offer. So I'm going to do a quick overview, and then I'm going to show you on Discovery Education specifically how to build a board builder with your students. Okay? So we're going to be focused on three things today. The content manager, which is how you can store the things that you find on Discovery Education, the board builder, and then quickly talk about the den. So content manager is where you can make files and folders and save things and kind of keep it organized. Students can also create this, so we're going to look at that pretty briefly, but it's just a way to really organize the materials that you find. And then of course the board builder, which we'll be focused on today, building kind of a place where they can store things that they have learned so far. And the den is kind of like a Facebook for educators within our district. So you can look and find professional development opportunities, lots of discussions. You can create groups specifically for your school or for projects within the district also. So a lot of things that's going to be mainly playing around with just looking at the different things it offers. All right, so I'm going to go ahead, and if you can also go ahead and pull up log into your Discovery Ed, so it'll be google.discoveryeducation.com, and it usually prompts to what you're signing in with, so it'll be your district sign in. We good? We have that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, so this is your main screen here. If you go over here and hover under the D for Discovery Education on the side, you'll see the three things that we're talking about plus some other stuff. But we're only going to focus on those three things for this professional development. The first thing, go ahead and click under My Content. You may have some folders already. Make sure that it is under your content and not school or district. As you can see, I've created folders for things I've taught. We've just finished up our animal unit in second grade, so we created board builders based off that. So that's why you see lots of animal folders on My Content. So this is the place where you can really organize your things. If you want to add a folder, something specific that you want to show your kids or even assign your kids to do, if you click Add Folder, you can go ahead and click that. And then it'll prompt you just to name a folder. So you can either name it Demo is what I'm going to name it, or something that you would like to save some materials in the folder, something you're working on now. And then click Create. And so your folder should be down in your content. All right. So to add to the folder, if you scroll up to the very top in the search box, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to type in mammals, since we've just been talking about. But you can put anything that you're currently working on in your grade level. And the cool thing about this is that you're able to kind of filter what grade that you teach. So typically I teach second grade, so I do K through 2. Sometimes, depending on what material it is, I'll do 3 through 5. So I just stick with elementary. So you can filter it that way.
Click both? Will it give you more options with both?
It'll give you more options with both,
Okay.
typically. But if you're looking for something that may be a little too advanced, just stick with your grade level.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
These videos aren't quite long enough.
Great point. So if you scroll down a little bit, you will see on the side here, you can kind of filter it. So it'll have different things that you can click on, but first I have to click on video, sorry, I'm getting ahead of
Where's
myself.
that?
Up here on the tab, you click video,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And so now it should give you full video option. So a lot of these are just segments that you could add. All right, so say we've been talking about how dolphins are mammals. Say I wanted to, I've watched this video, it's something that I want to put on my board or show my students. If I click the plus in the top corner, this is what it adds to, is what we call a quick list. It will show up in your content, but it's not organized into that folder. So if you want it in a specific folder that you created, if you click the dot, that's what I tell my students. And then add to my content. It'll prompt you which one do you want it to go in. Okay, and so you can kind of keep it organized that way. So I'm just going to put it in my demo since that's what I made. You can click add. And so now it's in there, so when you go back to my content, it is now in there, in store.
Kind of like Pinterest.
It's kind of Pinteresty, yes, absolutely.
Oh my God.
So for the board, this is what I'm going to teach you today, but just to filter, just to give you an idea. These are some that are just already created within our district. So you could look it up. So mammal boards that have already been created.
Wait, now where is that? Oh, boards?
Yep,
Boards?
boards.
Okay.
So we just did videos, which is kind of cool. So students can look at other projects that other students within our district have done. So you can add that to your content, just whatever you decide. If you click on images, these are just specific images to whatever you search. The great thing about it is it's safe. Everything on here, you don't really have to filter it, just as long as you have K through 2 or whatever it is that you teach. So it's nice that way. All right. Audio clips, there's lots of different options here. We don't typically use this in 2nd grade, but maybe upper grades would be able to do that. There's also lesson materials that might go along with what you're teaching.
Okay.
So lots of information there. But I want to go back to where it has my content and just click back there just so you see where it is that I put the video. If I click on the demo here. So the thing I saved is already in there.
It's there.
It is. So if you click over here on the action button, you can move it to a different folder if you decide to. If you click assign, I'm not going to go in too much detail, you can actually assign it to a student, which I'll show you briefly. I haven't done a whole lot of that, but again, upper grade levels may really be able to do that. But you could assign a specific video for them to watch, that kind of thing, which is neat once they log in.
Now, does that go to their email?
Yes, it'll go to their
Okay.
email, so they log in with their Google account.
Okay.
And once they log in one time, it's on there, so the laptops you save them.
Okay.
Yep. All right, so let's go quickly to the DIN. I'm going to skip over that just to show you what this is because it does have a lot of information that teachers can use. But again, it's a lot of information, so it would take some time to kind of sit through it. But it's like a Facebook for people in our district. So it has different groups that you can join. It has options where you can browse and look at different teacher resources, events coming up within our district, lots of things. Yes, ma'am.
All right, so mine's coming up that I have not signed up for that, so
Oh, okay.
did I do
So
it
yes.
correctly? Wait, let me show you.
So it looks like you might
Go down there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I just need to fill that out.
Yeah, it
so
looks
I
like-
can do the DIN?
Yes.
Okay, I'll do that right now.
Yep. And then, like I said, there are groups you can join, which is kind of like Instagram, and you'll get updates as far as that. All right. So going back to our main page, now this is where I'm going to show you how to actually build the board, and I'm going to do an online PD also that shows me teaching my students how to build a board and how you can kind of utilize that in the classroom. So when I click on Builder Tools, and if you can do the same, there is an assessment builder, which is neat. Board builder is what we're going to focus on today. So if you can click Create New Board, and then wait there. I'm going to show you some of the boards that I've built just so that you have a reference. Let's see. This is one that I built for spelling word work for my students. So if you click on it, I just have some clips and things that have to do with the spelling pattern, writing the spelling word, some video, some audio things that they can listen to. So this is one that I've created, so it gives you kind of an idea of what they look like. You can really store a lot of information, and it's a great piece. Also, if students are looking to share a portfolio with parents for, for their
So, I mean, it's
conferences.
like a bulletin
Portfolio,
board or
yeah.
a bulletin board that's
Like an
interactive and
interactive.
online, videos,
Videos.
clipboard, whatever. And the kids can get to it also.
Yes.
They can make them.
They can make
Or they
them.
can get to yours.
Mhm.
Okay. Wow.
Neat. So board builder, so what you just clicked on was create new board.
Creative, okay.
And so I usually just do a blank, just go ahead and do a blank. And this
Mhm.
is where it can get a little bit tricky for students, especially in the lower grades, but teaching them how to put a title that's appropriate and that kind of things. We just leave description open, so I don't usually put a description there. So I'm just gonna again just put demo and continue, and then it asks you, hey, where do you want to save it? So if there was a specific folder that you want to save it in, or if you just want to save it under the content as its own thing, you can also do that. So however you want to organize it. So I'm just going to put it in the demo folder and click save. Okay. And then it will pull up. Do y'all have that? Awesome. All right, so it can kind of be overwhelming a little bit at first, but you have your tools over here. And then the edit button, that's pretty important because sometimes it won't allow you to edit unless you click the edit button, so it can get, especially for the students, can get kind of confusing. But if I wanted to start out with my theme, I can go ahead and click and pick a theme that's already there. And this is always a fun thing for students. They love to do this. We usually have a time frame on how long you can do your background. So if you wanted to go ahead and do a theme, if I back out of that, I can do, if I can go down to the foreground or background, you can change that to whatever color that you'd like to do. So lots of playing around with how you'd like it to look. We talk about also visually, is it too busy, the colors, so that's a great conversation to have too. I know for second grade we could also create this when we do supply and demand and things like that, and talk about, you know, what is visually pleasing.
Yes.
All right, so I'm just going to click out of that. So that's the fun part there. Let's see. All right. So if I go back here, add items. That's the most important thing here. This is where you're going to actually add the items, and once they're on there, you can kind of drag them where you want to on your board. If you click headline, that's going to be your title. So if I'm going to again put demo here, and then you can change the background. So you can put no background. You can, lots of different types that you can do to make it beautiful. And then the next option is text box. So this is where they could type information, so information about mammals or whatever it is that you're learning, something they've learned. And I'm usually pretty specific. I'll say, hey, I want 3 text boxes, 2 videos, and 4 images. So they kind of have guidelines to follow, so it's not out of control or too much information and things like that, or it takes too long. But this is also a great piece for your high flyers and early activity. They can go and build a board, they can share their board, that kind of thing. So early finisher work too. So that's where you add media. That's where you're going to, earlier we added the video to my content. You can either search it, or typically my students already have it in their folder. It's just easier. So if I click my content, it again shows my content. It'll do the same for them. And click demo, and click on the video that I would like, and hit choose, and it shows up on there. So that's something that they can have access to. Some of the videos, like you pointed out, can be full, or it might just be a partial part of the video. Typically I tell them for things like this, it might not need to be the whole video, just because of time, and to watch a couple minutes of it just see if it's an appropriate thing for what we need. Any questions?
Now, does our board look just like the student's board, so we could do this with them?
Yes.
Similar, okay.
Yes, so everything looks very similar. Of course, they have less options here.
Okay.
If you go to Classroom Manager on the side,
Wait, where was that?
so you go back where it has the,
Gotcha.
you with me? Okay. So back under the Discovery Ed Classroom Manager, your students are already loaded in there for you through the district, but it will probably have every student that you've ever taught within the district. So a lot of times you need to archive the previous years. So you'll see over here where it has archive.
And the years prior.
Yes.
Gotcha.
But if you click on, since we teach every subject, if you click on like language arts, it's typically what I did. To show my students, I click log in as a student, and it shows exactly what their board looks like. So I do yes, and I just tell the student that I'm under, I'll say, hey, I'm doing an example on your board, you can delete it later.
Okay.
So it does show up on their
Okay.
stuff. But that way you can kind
Okay.
of get a better overview of what the student
Mm-hmm.
will see. Great question. Any others? I know that was a lot of information. I'm also going to have some tutorial videos.